Hi guys, we are doing this chapter from economics. It's called the basic economic problem, and this is the first chapter that is taught to grade 9s. So first chapter for O level economics, and the easiest chapter in the whole book. So what is the basic economic problem? So all countries face this. All societies face this problem. We face this problem on an individual level, on a societal level, on a country level, on a world level, that the resources that we have are limited in supply, and the wants are unlimited. So if we think about ourselves, whatever money we have, like if we think of ourselves as a student. So when we were students, we were given a pocket money, and we had a long list of wants to fulfill with that pocket money. However, at the end of the month, we would always find this out that we would not be able to fulfill all our wants. uh, we would not be able to buy everything that we wanted from that pocket money. तो इसलिए जो है ये वाली जो this comes out of human nature, that wants are unlimited, so we want everything and anything that we like. However, the resources will always be scarce. So I always give this example to my students, that when I had a salary that was lesser than what I have today, so at that point I used to think that okay, maybe when I have this value of salary, or maybe when I reach to that point, all my wants will be satisfied. However, what happened in reality, कि जब मैं उस सैलरी पे पहुंच गई, तो उसके बाद जो है नाउ आई थिंक दैट अब मुझे और सैलरी चाहिए टू रीच टू दैट पॉइंट कि मेरी सारी वांट सेटिस्फाई हो जाएं. तो कभी भी वांट सेटिस्फाई नहीं होंगी because of human nature. So all countries face this. So if you see the slide here, it says that resources are scarce, finite, or limited. So if in the exam you're asked what is the basic economic problems, you need to write resources are scarce and wants are unlimited. So this is like for a 2 mark you need to write both the sides. तो एक तो resources scarce है और wants, human beings की wants unlimited हैं. So this problem is faced by all societies, all economies, individuals, households, everyone, literally everybody in the world. So what happens is that because you have scarcity, तो आपकी resources enough नहीं है, तो आपको जो है you need to make choices. So you'll make a list of all wants that you have to satisfy, बट देन यू विल गिव प्रायोरिटी. जिसमें ज़्यादा आपको फ़ायदा लग रहा है आप उसको पहले सेटिस्फाई करेंगे, और जिसमें आपको लग रहा है कि ओके आई कैन गो विदाउट इट, देन यू विल गो विदाउट दोज वांट्स. सो what happens is that you have a long list of choices. Now you will choose a few wants to satisfy, and you will choose to forego a few. So what happens is that because there's scarcity, you need to make choices, and because you need to make choices, that leads to opportunity cost. So opportunity cost क्या होती है? It is the next best alternative foregone. So in the exam, when they ask you what is the opportunity cost, so they expect you to write the whole thing, the next best alternative foregone. And the key terminologies here is foregone. The word foregone is the scoring part of the whole definition, and the next best alternative. So ये जो है पूरे as it is definition लिखनी होती है NCI. So what happens is कि you need to go without a certain you need to forego certain wishes of yours. तो कुछ जो है आपको कुछ चीज़ों को आपको you need to forego it, you need to go without it. ठीक है? So when you actually sacrifice those wants of yours to satisfy a few, then that is called opportunity cost. So whatever you are sacrificing is what you are letting go. सही है? तो जो आप let go कर रहे हैं वो आपका opportunity cost है. हमेशा ये याद रखें, whatever you are letting go, because you are taking a certain decision, तो whatever you are letting go is your opportunity cost. वो आपका alternative था, लेकिन आपने उसको let go किया है in order to satisfy other alternatives. So what happens is that because you have a long list of wants, so you will always think कि अच्छा सबसे ज़्यादा what is the what wants are like, what should I satisfy, like what should I divert my resources towards. So for example, if you think about it as a student, तो students की pocket money में मतलब they may have a long list of wants, but then they will think कि अच्छा outing with friends is more important as compared to for example buying something from a brand or from a store. So ओके देन दे चूज़ आउटिंग फ्रॉम फ्रेंड्स क्योंकि उसमें बेनिफिट ज़्यादा है, दे थिंक दैट उसमें बेनिफिट ज़्यादा है. सो ऑन एन इंडिविजुअल लेवल दिस विल ये थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट होगा ऑन एवरी, इफ़ यू थिंक ऑफ अ पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू फ्रॉम लाइक हर किसी का इंडिविजुअल का पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू इफ़ यू थिंक, तो वो हर किसी के लिए डिफरेंट होगा. किसी के लिए कोई एक चॉइस में बेनिफिट ज़्यादा है, किसी के लिए कोई और चॉइस में बेनिफिट ज़्यादा है. सो एवरीबडी विल थिंक अबाउट इट अकॉर्डिंग टू their circumstances, and their upbringing and everything, it contributes to that, the choices that you make. So okay, so that's the first thing. So if they ask for a 4 mark के basic economic problem क्या है, तो आप कहेंगे resources are scarce, wants are unlimited. The problems, so what you have to do is that you need to make choices, and when you need to make choices, choice leads to opportunity cost. That is important for a 4 mark question on basic economic problems. So if you see the next slide here, they're saying this is part of the book as well. So what are human needs and what are human wants? So needs are those things that human beings cannot live without, like food, clothing, shelter, clean air, pure water. मतलब खाना और पानी और उसके बगैर ह्यूमन बींग्स कैन नॉट सर्वाइव. However, wants are those things which human beings would like to have. However, they can live without it. So, like for example, this can actually differ from time to time. So there was a point in time जहाँ पे phones were not very common and not very important for work life and for everything. However, today having a phone with a WhatsApp is a need. तो लेकिन उसमें भी there are a lot of ways in which you can buy a normal phone which works well, but buying the latest iPhone is like a want. So because it's a luxury, ठीक है. तो लेकिन आजकल जो है, if you see, times have changed and having a WhatsApp phone is like a need right now. So wants are unlimited, needs and wants both are unlimited, and resources are scarce. So that is the basic economic problem. If you see here, मैंने यहाँ पे कुछ pictures डाली हैं just to tell you. Okay, clean air, if you see here, मैंने यहाँ कुछ pictures डाली हैं just to tell you that okay, drinking water is like a need, food is the need, clean air is need, sunlight is need, and if you see here wants. So for example, for me, a Rolex watch would be purely a want, and I wouldn't want to spend that much money on a Rolex watch because that takes up a lot of my income. So why should I do it anyways? क्योंकि उससे मतलब उसके बगैर भी मैं I'm good enough without having a Rolex watch. So yes, but in some cases you would want a certain kind of a laptop or certain kind of a phone. Sometimes that is actually very good to invest in, because then it actually helps you do a lot of your work. So okay, so what I personally think is, that's what I think as well, that wants actually keep the drive in you alive. They motivate you to actually work harder. So if you have a list of wants and you want to satisfy them, so you will work hard towards actually working towards satisfying those wants. Wants actually keep the drive in you alive. So if you have a list of wants, so like for example, if you want to go for a vacation, so you would work hard to actually earn that much money to go for that vacation. So that's a good thing in a way, but too many wants can make you ungrateful. Something that is completely unattainable and out of reach, and you would want that. And if you keep thinking about that, so for example, having a private jet is actually out of reach. So thinking about it is also like it's no point. So yes, what are goods and what are services? So goods are tangible, something that you can actually perceive with your senses, and you can perceive it by touch. So literally, like everything, any good that is available in the market. So if you go to the grocery store and you buy a product, that is all part of goods. So anything that you can see, you can actually perceive it by touch. You can, so for example, the smartphones that you use, the junk food that you order. And services are intangible. So tangible versus intangible ka matlab hota hai, tangible is something that you can perceive by your by touch and by by your senses. Whereas intangible is something that you cannot perceive, so but not perceived by touch. So for example, the service of a teacher. So if you go to a school and you study over there, you're actually acquiring education, and education is actually building up to your knowledge, to your intellect. So it's not something that you're taking back, which is in a physical form. It's actually giving you it's actually increasing your education and knowledge. So like going to a doctor and going for a consultation, they will not actually take back something that has a physical form. However, the doctor will actually diagnose your illness and treat it. So yes, so what are free goods? Free goods are those which are unlimited in supply. तो इतना ज़्यादा होते हैं कि आप अगर यूज़ कर लें या कोई और यूज़ कर ले, तो दूसरों के लिए कम नहीं होंगे. सो इफ़ यू सी, गॉड गिव्स दोज फ्री गुड्स. ये फ्री गुड्स जो हैं वो, इफ़ इट वाज human beings to provide those goods, then human beings cannot do it. So the air that we breathe is a free good. हम जितनी भी whatever we are breathing, we're not leaving less for the other person. So similarly, the sunlight that we consume, सनलाइट जो है हम कंज्यूम करते हैं, उसके अलावा हमारे साथ साथ बहुत लोग कंज्यूम करते हैं. सो उसमें दूसरों के लिए इट्स नॉट अवेलेबल इन लेस क्वांटिटी. सो इफ़ यू सी, ये देयर इज़ नो अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट इन्वॉल्व इन यूजिंग अ फ्री गुड. Free good is abundant in supply, unlimited. So sunlight and air is an example. And economic goods are those which human beings make through a process called production. और उसमें जो है वो इनपुट्स को जो है वो दे पुट इट इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ प्रोडक्शन एंड मेक आउटपुट आउट ऑफ इट. तो इकोनॉमिक गुड्स जो होते हैं, दे आर लिमिटेड इन सप्लाई, एंड उनकी यूज़ करने से देयर इज़ अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट, एंड ऑब्वियसली व्हेन यू यूज़ देम देयर इज़ लेस अवेलेबल फॉर द other person. So for example, a cake, अगर आप if you eat one slice of cake, the rest of the cake is lesser in quantity, which is available to other people. So yes, usage of these will leave less for others, and scarce resources use होती हैं इनको बनाने के लिए, तो economic goods को बनाने के लिए. Okay, so what are consumer goods and what are capital goods? Consumer goods are bought by people, individuals, to satisfy their needs and wants. Like for example, your own car or your own refrigerator or anything at all, like कुछ खाने की कोई चीज़ हो या anything, literally anything that you buy to satisfy your needs and wants. However, capital goods are those goods which help to produce other goods and services. Capital goods are those goods which help to produce other goods. So that is the consumer goods. So capital goods are actually those goods which will help you to increase GDP in the long run. What is GDP? Output of the country. So एक country में जितना भी value of output बनता है, that is GDP. So capital goods will actually contribute towards the GDP. Consumer goods would actually यूज़ करके ख़त्म. Obviously आप वो यूज़ करेंगे तो you'll just eat up their life of consumer good. तो consumer goods से और कोई goods नहीं बनेंगे. लेकिन capital goods जो होते हैं, those are very very important for an economy, because वहाँ पे जो है आप you produce more output with capital goods. Okay, what is production? So production is a process in which you use the inputs to make the output. So literally there are so many production processes around us, so many times. So if we go to a restaurant for example, तो restaurant में भी production होती है. जैसे raw material जो ingredients होते हैं, those are all raw materials. Those are basic materials, and then you have labor who are actually working on that in those ingredients to make a recipe out of it. So uska jo output hota hai, so whatever they are making, it's actually the output. So the process that is happening in the kitchen when we go to a restaurant, that is production. So anything where you use the basic inputs, raw material, labor, मतलब रॉ मटेरियल यूज़ करते हैं, बहुत सारा मटेरियल यूज़ करते हैं, एंड लेबर को आप कहते हैं कि आप जो है वो प्रोसेस में डाल के उससे आउटपुट बनाएं. A lot of times, there'll be machinery that will be used in production. So in that case as well, that is as production as well. लेकिन basically turning the inputs into outputs, that is simply production. So here I've given an example of this place, that dhaba type in Karachi. It's called Chai Wala. A lot of people in Karachi, they really like going to Chai Wala, but the point of the whole story is like it's like a restaurant. और वहाँ पे जो है वो they use raw material, basic raw material, and put it into the production process and create output for people. And then obviously they provide that output to people, and they actually charge a premium for it. मतलब they charge a good price for it. So production is a process in which basic inputs are turned into outputs and goods, basically the outputs, and that can be consumed by people. So production is a very important activity, because obviously production जो है वो business में जब production होती है तो फिर obviously you will make profit out of production. So if you sell what you are producing, then obviously you will earn money out of it. So what is consumption? Using up of goods and services to satisfy our needs and wants. So eating your favorite meal at a restaurant, watching a movie in a cinema, getting a haircut done, or using your smartphone, or using your tablet, or whatever, your laptop. So yes, this is just, I added for whatever you consume, you give it to the poor as well. So because there is a rich poor divide in Pakistan, it's a very huge gap between the rich and the poor, and then you realize your privilege when you look at what you're eating, and look at what other people out there are eating. And then that's what actually humbles you in a way, because yes, we all of us are quite privileged in that sense. So what are factors of production? So very important for this chapter, and very important for the exam point of view as well. तो factors of production क्या होते हैं? अच्छा, इसकी बेसिक एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग होती है कि एवरी कंट्री हैज़ बीन गिवन सम फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. तो फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन आर दोज रिसोर्सेज which help you to produce output. तो वो रिसोर्सेज जो होते हैं वो प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस में यूज़ होते हैं in order to produce goods. So if you see a lot of times, you'll realize this as well, that if you've traveled across the world or in different countries, so आपको ये different factors of production different जगहों पे नज़र आएंगे. तो like for example, if you go to Saudi Arabia, you wouldn't find their own fruit. They actually buy fruit from all over the world. तो अब क्योंकि they cannot produce it themselves, they don't have fertile soil to do that. However, Pakistan में there's a lot of potential to produce food and fruits, and जो food basic agricultural output होता है वो पाकिस्तान में बहुत बनता है, लेकिन वो सऊदी अरेबिया में नहीं बन सकता. So पाकिस्तान में क्यों बनता है? Because we've been given those resources, we've been given those seasons जिसमें हम आउटपुट वो बना सकते हैं. लेकिन दूसरी कंट्रीज़ में, a lot of other countries don't have that advantage. Similarly, यहाँ पे a lot of countries have very good labor force. They are very very well educated, very very skilled. मतलब they can actually invent things, but in Pakistan you don't have that kind of labor force जो कि कुछ इन्वेंशन में आ जाए. ठीक है, बहुत कम, मतलब बहुत कम, एंड बहुत कम है. It's not too much in our economy. So yes, so what is land? There are 4 factors of production. These are very important for exam point of view as well, because they might ask. They sometimes ask to define, sometimes they ask to differentiate. तो यहाँ पे what is land? It includes everything that is provided by nature. So anything that is God given, like crops, fish, minerals, oil, etc. तो कुछ भी जो है ना, जो God given है, that is land. And what is labor? It is all the physical and mental effort of human beings. So for example, workforce in the construction of a building, or teachers in a school. So teachers are also part of labor. Doctors are also part of labor. So a lot of times, labor use their physical efforts. A lot of time labor uses their mental efforts to actually give services a lot of times, and then in production they have to use their physical effort. तो इसको ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज भी कहते हैं. तो लैंड को नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज कहते हैं, लेबर को ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज कहते हैं, और कैपिटल व्हाट इज़ कैपिटल? गुड्स दैट हेल्प टू प्रोड्यूस अदर गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज. एग्जांपल स्क्रू ड्राइवर और ट्रैक्टर. सही है, आप कोई स्क्रू ड्राइवर हो या ट्रैक्टर हो. ट्रैक्टर जो हैं, यूजुअली ट्रैक्टर्स आर यूज्ड इन एग्रीकल्चर, and there are a lot of uses to tractors, but that machinery that is used to produce other consumer goods is part of capital. ठीक है, तो in accounting the definition is different. So in accounting, that's the money that is invested by the owner. However, in economics, the money that is used to actually buy machinery and उसी पैसे को आप यूज़ करते हैं to buy machinery, to buy those capital goods which help to produce consumer goods. So yes, and then we have enterprise, that is the skill and the risk-taking ability of an entrepreneur to actually gather all those resources above and then make goods and services out of it. So enterprise जो होता है वो risk taking ability होती है, and किसकी risk taking ability होती है? तो person himself is called an entrepreneur. So being an entrepreneur and being an employee is very different. An employee is given a fixed salary, and an entrepreneur जो है वो उसकी कोई फिक्स्ड सैलरी नहीं होती, लेकिन उसको प्रॉफिट होता है तो बहुत हो सकता है. इट्स अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि दे मेक अ लॉट ऑफ प्रॉफिट, बट देन द entrepreneur हैज़ टू invest a lot of time. They have to invest their day and night into their work in order to get things done and in order to be successful. However, employees just have to give their employees जो labor होता है वो अपना एक फिक्स टाइम देता है, उसके अलावा टाइम नहीं देता. बट ऑब्वियसली being labor and being an entrepreneur is very different. Entrepreneurs sometimes they leave a legacy behind. तो अगर आप entrepreneur हैं and आपका business बहुत बड़ा हो जाए तो फिर someday after you die there might be someone else who would actually continue your business, so it keeps continuing, and then you can have something for future as well. So this will actually matlab contribute towards your success, and it will actually make something that is out of the box जो है ना ordinary लोग नहीं करते. तो being an entrepreneur is tough, but it's like very rewarding. It's very rewarding as well. So if you see, this is a construction site और यहाँ पे जो है लेबर काम कर रहा है, और बेसिकली हम फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं दैट there are capital goods capital that is being used. So capital goods is the other name for capital as well. There's labor, so it's human effort here, human effort be involved, and then of course the raw materials are also coming from some sources like अब cement है, cement is also coming from some natural resources. तो कुछ minerals and they combine some minerals and some other natural resources to actually produce cement. So and if the next slide here, it's about the rewards of factors of production. So land ka reward, whoever provides the land gets the rent on it. So land pay, basically the reward that they get of owning a land is rent. The reward of being labor is getting a salary or a wage. So and the reward of actually investing money into capital equipment or machinery is actually getting the interest on it. So whoever puts in the money to actually buy these capital goods, उसको जो है वो reward में interest मिलता है, and interest is a fixed amount on the investment that is done. Enterprise, the reward for being an entrepreneur is getting the profits. So the profit of actually running a business. तो एक business को run करके if the business is successful, then it becomes profitable as well. So very important part of the chapter is that how do you improve the quality of factors of production. So this the list that I have given here, it's not ये इसमें सब कुछ नहीं है. लेकिन like it's some of the part of the chapter, so not everything is over here. So अगर आप लैंड को देखें तो आपको क्वालिटी को इम्प्रूव करने का मतलब होता है दैट quality is very it's subjective. क्वालिटी को इम्प्रूव करने का मतलब होता है कि something that you can the resource itself is the same, but it's actually producing more output, it's more efficient. ठीक है, जैसे अगर आप कोई लेबर को कंसिडर करें, फॉर एग्जांपल someone who's more educated, someone who has spent more time in education is more efficient, it can contribute towards the economy in a better way as compared to someone who has spent less time in education. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखें तो लैंड को आप कैसे इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं क्वालिटी, लैंड की क्वांटिटी बढ़ाना मुश्किल है, बिकॉज लैंड ऑब्वियसली द लैंड दैट यू हैव बीन गिवन इज़, फॉर एग्जांपल पाकिस्तान की टेरिटरी इज़ द होल लैंड दैट वी हैव. सो लैंड को और स्ट्रेच तो नहीं कर सकते हमें पाकिस्तान को, मतलब और पाकिस्तान की बॉर्डर्स हम, you can't extend them and include all the land outside as well. So the land itself is limited in supply, but उसको आप improve कैसे कर सकते हैं? So a lot of times the farmers don't have the knowledge of actually using fertilizers in such a way that they can make better output and more output out of the same land. तो एक उतना ही लैंड है, लेकिन अगर आप फर्टिलाइज़र्स सही से यूज़ करें तो balanced use of fertilizers can actually increase the yield of that land. So output increase हो सकता है उससे. And labor को आप quality कैसे improve कर सकते हैं? By giving them more training, by giving them education. So when the government invests in their education and in their training, the output of that workers will increase and they can become more efficient. लेकिन उसकी efficiency को measure करना बड़ा मुश्किल है, unless you're measuring it with some objectivity. But for example, if teachers are sent on training, so yes, that contributes a lot towards their knowledge and their a lot towards their style of teaching. But how can you actually measure that? So you can measure that by the results that you get after the training. तो पोस्ट ट्रेनिंग जो है वो स्टूडेंट्स फीडबैक क्या है, या पोस्ट ट्रेनिंग जो रिजल्ट्स हैं वो क्या आ रहे हैं. सो दैट विल टेल यू एक्चुअली कि अच्छा टीचर को ट्रेनिंग देके कितना फ़ायदा हुआ है. लेकिन ट्रेनिंग, लेबर की ट्रेनिंग जो है वो उसकी क्वालिटी इम्प्रूव करेगी. And for capital, obviously the older machinery will not produce as much output, तो लेकिन जो older machinery होगी obviously that will be slower as well. The newer capital equipment can actually increase the speed as well, and production को fast कर सकती है and output भी increase कर सकती है. तो advancement in technology, however advancement in technology is not very easy. You have to invest a lot of money in order to actually in order to achieve advancement in technology. Okay, so enterprise को कैसे हम improve कर सकते हैं? So a lot of times people don't have that risk taking ability and they're scared of taking risk of being an entrepreneur. So providing the training to to university students, for example, that will also contribute towards the number of startups that you can have in future. So training courses for people who want entrepreneurship. So in my university there was this program, it was called BBA entrepreneurship. So BBA entrepreneurship was purely designed for people who wanted to become entrepreneurs in future. So entrepreneurship is a very इसमें बहुत scope है, लेकिन फिर the students should be given those trainings by entrepreneurs themselves. So it's very good if entrepreneurs themselves actually give the training. And so how do we increase the quantity of the factors of production? So quantity, क्योंकि quantity बढ़ाना भी मुश्किल है, इतना आसान नहीं है. Like here they're saying land, new discoveries of natural resources. So you can discover more natural resources, but discovering natural resources is not easy. You need to invest a lot of money, and a lot of machinery is required, a lot of labor is required in order to actually find out those resources, even if you have them. So a lot of countries are given resources which are hidden. They've not been discovered yet. So once they're discovered, but to discover them is actually a huge cost. um, लेबर को हम कैसे क्वांटिटी कैसे बढ़ा सकते हैं? सो द नंबर ऑफ पीपल, ओके, सो यू कैन इनकरेज पीपल टू एक्चुअली इमिग्रेट टू योर कंट्री, दूसरी दूसरी कंट्रीज से आके यहाँ पे. लेकिन अगर आपकी कंट्री वो बेनिफिट्स प्रोवाइड करती है, सो ऑब्वियसली पीपल वुड वांट टू कम टू योर कंट्री to seek for jobs. But उसके अलावा the other thing is here is that you can invest in healthcare. So providing good healthcare at a very at a subsidized rate. तो सस्ते में अगर उनको हेल्थ केयर प्रोवाइड करेंगे, या हेल्थ केयर की अगर जिम्मेदारी गवर्नमेंट लेती है, सो येस, पीपल कैन एक्चुअली be present at work more often, and then they will not take all people can be present at work more often, and they would not actually take a lot of holidays on at work. And one more thing, if they can increase the retirement age, a healthy population is, so why not increase the retirement age? There are a lot of people who actually work till 75, 76, till that age as well. So it's actually good to increase the retirement age, to actually increase the labor. So there'll be more people. If the economy increases the retirement age, there'll be more people available then for in the labor force. If Okay, so how do you increase the quantity of capital goods? You simply produce more capital goods. However, in developing countries, capital goods are not produced as such, not in a very huge quantity, and even if they are produced, not very high level of capital goods are produced in developing countries. So enterprise increase in the price consumers are willing to pay for goods and services encourages more people to actually go for startups. Enterprise is simply they so if the government encourages, if people are willing to pay a higher price for some product, then yes, more people will be encouraged to actually make a startup in that particular type. So for example, yes, consumers in Karachi would want to pay a higher price for cafes, for food at cafes. तो वो जो है वो उसके लिए बहुत अच्छी प्राइस पे करने को तैयार होते हैं customers. So there are more people actually, when the customers are willing to pay more for these cafes, तो फिर the result of it is that yes, more people would want to run cafes here in a city like Karachi. So that's about it. Thank you.